All right, and we are back, and we're going to look at the other words on our geometry intro vocab and draw some pictures. We're going to go out of order, and I hope you understand why after we see it. So let's get started. The first word that we are going to start with is intersect. It means to cross at a point. We have lines, line segments, and rays. They intersect. So we'll do it real quick. Maybe we'll have a line segment. We'll call it line segment AB. And that will intersect with a ray. And we'll call that ray MN. So ray MN intersected with line segment AB. There's really no notation for intersect. It's just the idea that they are moving into each other. We are going to skip. We're going to skip down here and we're going to go down to the word congruent. Hopefully you've heard, I'm sure you've heard the word before. If you haven't, it means that things are the same shape and size. We're going to talk about lines, line segments, and rays. And really, in this situation, it's just going to be line segments. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a bunch of different line segments. So come with me. Great, great. We'll start here and we'll label this point A. We'll label this point B. We'll label this point C. We'll label this point D. And then we will throw the point in here and we will label that M. All right. So now what we have is we've got a line segment from A to B. And we're going to say that that is congruent to line segment CD. And the notation, we're just going to put one slash mark on the line segment. And then we're going to come over here and write our notation. We're going to say that line segment AB is congruent. And the congruent symbol is an equal sign with a squiggly line over top like that. AB is congruent to line segment CD. Actually, we're going to go DC. The reason why we do that, if we start here with A and we're going into B, we want to start at the same location and go into C. Okay, so order does matter on some of these. Sometimes it doesn't, but it does. We're going to try and make it that way. We also, this is a midpoint, and we're going to get to midpoint next. The point in the middle of a line segment. So this point is in the middle of the line segment. So what I can say is from B to M is one line segment. And then I say from C to M is one line segment as well. And they are the same distance. Well, if they're the same distance, we call them congruent. So I'm going to put two slash marks there. And the reason why I put two slash marks there is because B to M is the same distance as C to M, but they're not the same distance as a one slash mark. So the way we draw this one up is, again, line segment BM is congruent to line segment. Now again, we started at B, went into the midpoint, so we're going to start at C and go into the midpoint. So two different ways to talk about congruent line segments. Okay? The midpoint is the point in the middle of a line segment. So I'll give you a couple. Here we go. Boom. Line segment. And we're just going to use the exact same picture as above. B, C. I'm going to put my midpoint here of M. And you could have a ray creating that. You could have anything. And we put our markings in here that shows congruence. So we know that, again, and if we wanted to draw it the same way, we could write it the same way there. But if I wanted to start from M, I could say line segment MB is congruent to line segment MC. Both of these would work. Since we started with the M going out to the B, we have to start with the M going out to the C. That would be a midpoint. Usually use M for the midpoint. Equidistant. Equidistant kind of looks like equal and then distant. So it's at equal distances. Now this one, I'm going to give you a little bit of a different picture because, you know, you could say that B and C are equidistant from M, right? You could say that because it's the midpoint. But let me give you a different picture here. Let's say that we had something like that and like that, right? And we have X, Y, and Z. Okay, if you see a 1 slash mark there, 1 slash mark there, we know it's not the midpoint, but it is equidistant. So X, you could say line segment XY is congruent to line segment ZY. The other way you could say that is line segment YX is congruent to line segment YZ. Right? And X and Z are equidistant from Y. I'm going to come back up top here to these two words. We have bisect. Bi, the prefix bi means two, and sect from intersect. So to cross at 2. So to cut in half, bisect, to cut in half, to intersect at the midpoint. Well, we know where the midpoint is. To cut a line segment in 2 equal parts. So let's get started on this picture. So here we go. We have X here, we have Y there. We have a line segment XY, and then let's do a line segment of TU. And I hope I put that. So let's put an M there for the midpoint. Let's put a T here, and let's put a U up here. So what we could say is, in this, since X to the M and then Y to the M, that you could say there's no really notation, but you could say line segment UT bisected line segment XY at M. Okay, and this notation would tell you that the boom and boom, TU went through, and you go from there. So that's what it means to bisect, to cut in half. Now, perpendicular bisect, we learned this word perpendicular the other day, that it intersects at a 90-degree angle. So let's start with, here we go, we have X and Y. It has to intersect at the midpoint and at a 90-degree angle. So that's a line segment. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give them a ray. We haven't used rays a lot. Now, how do we know it's perpendicular? Because we have our 90-degree box. And then I'll put my midpoint, we'll label that M. And then I'll put a point up here. We'll put the letter R, capital R. So 2 statements that could be made from this. Remember, we have to show that this is the midpoint. How do we show it's the midpoint? We put 1 slash mark here and 1 slash mark here. So we could say line segment XM is congruent to line segment YM. And we could also say that ray MR is perpendicular. Remember, perpendicular, the upside down capital T. Ray MR is perpendicular to line segment X, Y. Okay, so those are the definitions for those phrases and words, or the pictures for those phrases and words. Again, go back if you need to, but the best thing to start doing is to start practicing and use them. I hope this was helpful. I hope this will allow you to be successful in your math class. Have a great day.